You've probably heard the phrase quiet millionaire before. It's the person who built real wealth without showing it off, without the flashy car or the designer clothes or the need to tell everyone at dinner how much money they have. But here's what most people don't realize. Becoming a quiet millionaire isn't random luck or some secret only rich people know. It's a proven path with 4 distinct stages. And if you're starting from broke, understanding these stages will change how you think about money forever. If you're serious about building wealth that actually lasts, hit subscribe so you don't miss the framework that matters. The journey from broke to quiet millionaire has a specific architecture, and that architecture has 4 load-bearing walls. Each stage has its own focus, its own most common mistake, and its own graduation milestone. The stages are stabilize, eliminate, accumulate, and compound. They don't happen simultaneously. They happen in order. And most people skip stages or try to do them all at once, which is why they fail. Let's start with stage 1, stabilize. When you're broke, stabilization sounds boring. You want to talk about investing and building passive income and early retirement. But stabilization is the floor. You cannot do anything else until you stabilize. What does stabilization mean? It means your income consistently covers your expenses with a small buffer left over. It means you're not going backwards. It means you're not adding to debt while you're trying to build wealth. The core focus of the stabilization stage is simple. Establish consistent income that exceeds consistent expenses. You need a job or a business or some reliable way to bring money in every single month. That income needs to be predictable enough that you can plan around it. At the same time, you need to know exactly what you spend every month. Not what you think you spend, not a rough estimate, the actual number. Track every dollar for 3 months if you haven't done this before. You'll be shocked. Most people in the stabilization stage discover they're leaking money in places they never knew existed. The most common mistake in stage 1 is trying to increase income before you've stabilized expenses. Someone makes a little extra money, feels excited, and immediately spends it on something they've been wanting. Then nothing changes. They're still broke. They're still adding to debt. They're still going backwards. The income increased, but the net effect was 0, because the expenses grew with it. This happens over and over. Stabilization requires discipline first, opportunity second. The graduation milestone for stage 1 is this. You have 3 months of expenses saved in a basic emergency fund. And you've gone 4 consecutive months where your income genuinely exceeded your expenses. Not barely, not by $1. By enough that you could see it in the bank account. At that point, you've stabilized. You're ready to move to stage 2. Stage 2 is eliminate. Once you're stabilized, you can finally address the second most destructive force in personal finance, debt. Debt is a wealth killer because it forces you to work for your creditors instead of yourself. Every dollar you send to a credit card company or a loan payment is a dollar you're not investing. Every month you're paying interest is a month you're paying someone else for the privilege of borrowing money you've already spent. The core focus of the eliminate stage is straightforward. Destroy all consumer debt and non-mortgage debt as aggressively as possible. This includes credit cards, car loans, personal loans, and anything else that doesn't build assets. Now, some people will argue that a mortgage is good debt or that carrying a car loan at low interest makes sense. That's a conversation for another time. In the eliminate stage, you're focused on getting rid of the money you owe to banks and credit card companies for things you've already consumed. The most common mistake in stage 2 is trying to do both stages at once. Someone starts earning more money and thinks, I'll invest some and pay off debt with the rest. That's noble, but it's not optimal. You cannot outrun debt with investment returns. The interest you're paying on that debt almost always exceeds what you'd earn in a conservative investment. Mathematically, paying off the debt first wins every time. Another common mistake is not being aggressive enough. People pay the minimums, which means they're letting the creditors decide how long this stage lasts. It could be 5 years, or 10 years, or 15. If you're serious about becoming a quiet millionaire, You need to be serious about stage 2. Cut expenses further if necessary. Take on a second income stream if you can. Sell things you don't need. Make this temporary sacrifice for a permanent gain. This stage should take anywhere from 1 to 5 years, depending on how much debt you have and how aggressive you're willing to be. The graduation milestone for stage 2 is this. You have 0 consumer debt, 0 credit cards with balances, 0 car loans, 0 personal loans. You might have a mortgage if you bought a house responsibly, but everything else is gone. When you hit this milestone, something shifts in your psychology. For the first time since you were broke, you're not paying anyone to lend you money. Every dollar you earn is actually yours. That's when stage 3 becomes possible. Stage 3 is accumulate. Now that you're stabilized and you've eliminated debt, you can finally do what most people tried to do from the very beginning: build wealth. Accumulation is where you start investing, building assets, and letting time work in your favor. The core focus of the accumulate stage is simple. Invest as large a percentage of your income as possible into assets that will grow. Assets might be index funds, real estate, a business, or combinations of all three. The key is that they're things that generate returns. They don't just sit there. They work for you. In this stage, you're building the foundation for stage 4. You're creating the asset base that will eventually compound into serious wealth. For most people working a job, this means maxing out retirement accounts, investing in index funds, and building a diversified portfolio. For business owners, it might mean reinvesting profits into growth or building multiple income streams. The most common mistake in stage 3 is getting distracted by shiny investment opportunities. Someone hears about cryptocurrency or penny stocks or a friend's business idea, and they think this is it. This is the shortcut. There is no shortcut. The quiet millionaires aren't the ones chasing the hottest investment. They're the ones who invest consistently in boring, proven vehicles for decades. They max out their 401k. They invest in low-cost index funds. They buy rental properties. They build businesses. None of this is sexy. All of it works. Another mistake is not starting early enough. Because you spent years in stages 1 and 2, you might feel like you're behind and you need to make up for lost time. You don't. The earlier you start accumulating, the more time compound interest has to work. If you start in your 30s instead of your 20s, you've lost compounding time, but that's a sunk cost. Don't let that fact paralyze you into inaction. Start accumulating today, wherever you are. The graduation milestone for stage 3 is reaching a specific number. For many people, this is $100,000 in invested assets. For others, it's the point where your investments generate enough annual return that it starts to feel real. You check your account and you've made $5,000 without doing anything. You didn't work for it. The money worked for you. When that feeling hits, you know you're ready for stage 4. Stage 4 is compound. Compounding is the 8th wonder of the world, and once you reach this stage, you finally understand why. The core focus of the compound stage is to let your assets work for you while you continue earning and investing. Now, here's the key insight. You never leave the compound stage. Once you're here, you're here. This is where quiet millionaires live. In the compound stage, your investments are generating returns. Those returns are invested back into more assets. Those assets generate more returns. The cycle accelerates. You're not working harder. You're not taking more risk. You're just letting time and growth do the heavy lifting. Someone with $100,000 invested at 7% annual return makes $7,000 per year, doing absolutely nothing. Someone with $500,000 makes $35,000 per year. Someone with $1 million makes $70,000 per year. The most common mistake in stage 4 is losing discipline. You've made it. You're finally seeing real wealth accumulate. And suddenly the temptation to spend creeps back in. You see something you want. You think about taking a big vacation, or upgrading your house, or buying something expensive. This is where quiet millionaires actually lose their status. They stop compounding. They take the money out. They reset. The graduation milestone for stage 4 is reaching a net worth where your investment income equals or exceeds your living expenses. When that happens, you're genuinely free. You don't have to work anymore. You can if you want, but you don't have to. That's the definition of a quiet millionaire. It's not about the number in the bank account. It's about freedom. It's about choices. It's about time being yours again. Now, Here's what most people get wrong about these stages. They think they're sequential in the sense that you do stage 1, then you never do stage 1 again. That's not quite right. You're always stabilizing. You're always watching your income and expenses. But the focus shifts. In stage 1, stabilization is everything. In stage 2, elimination is the main goal, but you're still stabilizing in the background. In stage 3, you're accumulating aggressively, but you're still stabilizing, and you're still not going back into debt. In stage 4, you're compounding, but you're still doing everything else. Think of it like building a house. Stage 2 is removing the cracks. Stage 3 is building the walls and roof. Stage 4 is watching the house appreciate in value while you live in it. You don't stop maintaining the foundation once the walls are up. You maintain it the entire time. The stages overlap. They build on each other. That's what makes the system work. The reason this path is proven is because it's based on human psychology and mathematical reality, not wishful thinking. You cannot skip stages. You cannot compound wealth you don't have. You cannot build assets while you're drowning in debt. You cannot stay stabilized if you're spending every dollar you make. Each stage is a prerequisite for the next. If you're currently in stage 1, your only job is to stabilize. Stop thinking about investing. Stop thinking about getting rich. Just make sure your income is reliable and your expenses are lower than that income. That's it. Boring? Yes. Necessary? Absolutely. If you're in stage 2, stop trying to invest in the stock market right now. Pay off your debt. Every month you're making minimum payments on credit cards is a month you're paying someone else for the privilege of being broke. If you're in stage 3, stay consistent. Don't chase hot investments. Don't get distracted by cryptocurrency or meme stocks. Just keep investing in boring index funds. In 10 years, you'll have built something real. In 20 years, you'll be wealthy. If you're in stage 4, protect your status. Don't let lifestyle inflation ruin what you've built. The quiet millionaires stay quiet because they understand that showing off costs money and loses freedom. This path from broke to quiet millionaire is available to anyone. It doesn't require that you were born rich. It doesn't require that you're brilliant with money. It requires that you're willing to be boring for a few years. It requires that you follow the stages in order. It requires that you don't skip ahead. And it requires that you actually do the work. The video you just watched outlines the framework, but the framework is only valuable if you use it. If this resonated with you, if you're ready to actually build wealth instead of chase get-rich-quick schemes, like this video. It helps more people find this content. And here's a real question I'd love to see in the comments. Which stage are you currently in? And what's the one decision you need to make to graduate to the next level? That's not a generic question. Your answer matters because it forces you to be honest about where you actually are.